Welcome to Red Stars Report, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news and commentary on the Chicago Stars. I am your host, LT.
And I am your co-host Liz, who's under the weather with the flu, but
Yes,
here.
this will be a shorter episode, so we don't have to keep Liz for too long. But
This is my Michael Jordan flu game episode. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Liz has shown up for Red Stars Report's 50th episode and has claimed it as her Michael Jordan flu game. Had to be here for the 50th.
had had to be.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone for listening for 50 episodes, whether you're, listening on a podcast or always watching us every week on YouTube. Um, I I don't know. I just started this and with Grant and hoped maybe we would hit 50 someday. Um, and then Liz joined the team and here we are. We're at 50. It probably could have been much more if I didn't take some weeks off here and there. But I forgot to mention our 1 year back in December. But here we are, 50 episodes. Thank you, everybody.
We appreciate it.
The Chicago Stars have started preseason. Had their first training last week. Media was there on that first training on Monday. Heard from Lauren Donaldson for the first time this season. Heard from Rick Fuse for the first time this season, the Stars GM. And they had some interesting things to say. Nothing like too outlandish. Lauren just talking about, getting better and excited for the players who were here last season to be here this season and improve and looking to be more offensive focused this season, which is good to hear. We had the GM talk about signings and future of signings because someone had asked Lauren about adding to the team, and Lauren said that he wants to add more players. And and Rick was told that Lauren said these things, and he's like jokingly says, a coach always wants to add more players. It's not surprising. But Rick did say something along the lines of, if you're looking for flashy, you're not going to find it in Chicago. So don't expect some huge, massive free agent signing. His focus is consistency because we had a lot of that. We didn't have a lot of that last season. And he's looking to make the roster more, keep the same players each year to and then add little improvements here and there to keep consistency, keep players, getting to know each other and actually improving their game rather than just, trying to create a super team like some teams around the league. So
And how does that go for them?
I don't
um,
know. Orlando did it with the Brazilian national team, so it worked for them.
right, right. That is true. That is true.
But yeah, so the only other things we sort of got out of training were that Ludmila wasn't there for the first training and was expected to join them the following day. I didn't see anything that said that she did or didn't join the following day. It was an excused absence. And then we had Ava Cook sort of training by herself off to the side, still recovering from her ACL injury. So little things here and there, but everybody's there except for Mal, which was the interesting piece of information that came out with the roster announcement. And I'll just it was a shock to some of us, don't you think, Liz?
Yeah, that was the first thing when the roster came out. That was the first thing I even was like, okay, well, like, no offense to everybody, but I even said it in the Discord. I don't care about anything else. Like, I want to make sure Mal's okay because
Mhm.
we don't know the circumstances about what you're about to talk about.
Yeah, so it said that forward Mallory Swanson informed the club that due to personal reasons, she will not be joining the team for the start of training camp. Club leadership has been in contact with Swanson and are formally supportive of her decision. Swanson gave a statement in the press release saying, I'd like to thank the club and the fans for their understanding during this time. I appreciate the kindness and encouragement from my teammates and all the Stars staff and hope to be back with the team and playing in front of our fans as soon as I can. So then the club said, as always, the Chicago Stars organization stands ready to provide Mallory whatever her support she needs, both on and off the pitch, and we will be ready to welcome her back with open arms whenever she is ready to return. So Mal's absence, her return is the timetable for that is indefinite. So there's no information. We're not going to sit here and speculate. We just hope that Mal is okay and she'll be she'll be better or okay and in a place where she can join the club back whenever she's ready. And for now, we'll just focus on the rest of the roster, the rest of the season, and we'll talk about it more whenever she comes back. We won't sit here and talk about it any further.
Yeah, I just want to say that it is nice to have a club environment that's healthy enough that players are willing to share what's going on, like, and to trust whatever the situation is, and to have that communication, and then for the club to relay that information on to everybody. And it's nice that we don't need to know, but it's nice to know that things are being handled in a professional manner, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and she didn't have to, make a statement that gets quoted in that press release. Uh, she doesn't owe us that. She doesn't owe the fans that at all. But she was willing to do that for the sake of transparency with people not being confused whenever it just said not reported on the roster. So like I said, that's all we're going to talk about that. Um, Hopefully she's back soon, and we'll discuss how this team looks whenever she comes back to it. But for now, we did get the full preseason roster listed, so that was good to see. Finally, um, we have a full roster of players. There's one open contract spot currently, and there are seven non-roster invitees to this camp. Those non-roster invitees are Catherine Barry from the University of South Carolina, Justina Gaynor, as we mentioned last week, from Michigan State, Peyton McNamara from Ohio State, Sydney Schneider, who was with the Stars last season, Macy Schultz from the University of Arkansas, Stephanie Sparkowski from the University of Michigan, who we also talked about last week, and Deja Torbert from the University of Georgia. I don't know a whole lot about a lot of these players. We know Sydney because she was the third goalkeeper last season. We got to see her in a match during that Summer Cup uh, tournament that we all want to get out of our minds. And then, like I said, we already discussed Stephanie and Justina last week, but some of these other ones I think are kind of interesting. Specifically for me, Catherine Barry from South Carolina interests me a lot. She's a 6 foot center forward. Um, this club needs a center forward that could be, useful in the future. If Allie is going to sort of transition to this midfield position that she's sort of been playing. Um, and if they want to continue to use Ava where she was playing at her best, sort of on the wings, then we are still stuck without a true center forward. So I'm not super interested in adding a forward to this already stacked forward roster. So unless there's trades, loans, whatever, I don't know if a forward's going to get added. But Catherine Berry did interest me. I looked at some of her work in South Carolina. I mean, SEC champions at some point, and she was part of that team. And so it's like, good player, good college, and I like height, height FC.
I'd FC. I think it's good to have a target forward too. Like even, but no matter what style of play, apparently Lauren says that we are going to be more offensive. So that means we need more offensive players, and we need to have it. Having a target forward would be wonderful. Ava can play that target forward if we really wanted to do that. I really believe that.
And I think Allie could
Um,
too. It's
yeah,
just how they want to utilize her.
it all is so dependent for me on like what formation are we going to play, and so it's so hard for me to be like, I like Ali Schlegel here and I like Ava here, because it's like, well, I don't know what Lauren's deciding. But if we're going to be more offensive, having a player that's 6 foot tall that can play that, be in like a target for balls in, would be wonderful. So I don't hate it. South Carolina has been really good for the last few years in women's soccer. So it's a good invite to camp, at least. Like just bare minimum. It's a great invite because maybe she really impresses. You never
Yeah.
know.
The thing that I found interesting was Macy Schultz out of Arkansas was at Arkansas with B, I believe, but was injured in the 2023 season, so I don't think they ever played together. But prior to that, she was at Texas Tech with Hannah Anderson, her first few years of college. I think they were both at the same time, like 2019, 2020, 2021, from freshman onward. So I'd be interested to get Hannah's thoughts on Macy. The conversation that media had in their scrum with Rick during the first day of training, I believe, if I remember correctly, he even brought up Macy. He was the only NRI that he had mentioned when it came to like new players. So I'm curious how interested he is in her and where he sort of sees her working out with this club too.
I feel like if your name gets mentioned and you're an NRI, that's a really good sign. Not saying that it means anything, but like you're clearly being noticed. So, or impressing in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's always important if you're somebody that is tied to currently signed players under contract on the team. That's also like there's always a built-in chemistry there. So it's not, I mean, who knows? I think, and again, as you said, we have one open spot right now on the roster, but that is assuming that there's not going to be any trades or any players cut or anything like that. So things could be changing around. There could be multiple open spots in the next coming couple weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, it's true. I really don't know how this is all going to play out. I mean, this episode could come out and we could even see things already happening by Tuesday.
Like
Um,
last week when the whole roster dropped before our episode.
yeah. Oh well.
It's
This
fine.
is all old news by now. But yeah, the others were Deja Torber and Peyton McNamara out of Georgia and Ohio State, respectively. I don't know too much about them. Um, I think Deja was interesting when I was briefly looking at her stuff. And then I've heard the name Peyton McNamara before. I wonder if Noah in the Discord has mentioned her or something. I don't remember.
Probably. That seems like a
Um,
Noah thing.
I'm sure someone said something at some point. I don't know, Midwest, Ohio State. I'm sure the name just popped up whenever people were doing college discussions.
Those Big Ten names, I feel like we've all seen them because I feel like a lot of us watch Big Ten women's soccer. So
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
yeah,
I've heard the name watching Northwestern play and stuff. That's probably it. But yeah, there's your seven NRIs. It's interesting, like not having the draft and then the team signing. a college player, and then a U17 player, and then you have just NRIs. There's like it's
It's
such a different feeling from previous seasons where like essentially like drafted players are essentially NRIs. They're drafted, but they're not signed. And then they get signed at the same time, relatively, as the NRIs do when it comes to preseason. But it's just strange to like not see these names on a draft night and go research them and see little interviews with them and see their family on draft night, their reactions on draft night. And this is just here's a name on a roster. There you go do
right.
your own research.
I think it's interesting. I think it will be interesting as well, like retrospectively to look back and like talk to the players and talk to the teams about how this went down the first year and then how they adjust in the coming years on how things, because I know that there's going to be like little quirks and things that need to be worked out, but I'm curious if the players think this is better. They don't know any different, obviously, either, but I'm very curious to see how this goes moving forward because it's been an interest as a fan. It's been interesting because it's not like you're watching the draft and you're like, oh, I really want this player. You have no idea if your team's even talk who they're talking to in this
Yeah,
process, at
everyone's
least
on
on
the
draft
board
night.
until they're not.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
there's no order, there's nothing. It's just the second, like even right now, every single college player is on the board for this season and next season. It's
Well,
there's no like, man, I hope they're there when it gets to us. It's they're there. It's just hopefully your team gets them.
well, and who says that somebody's not an NRI for somebody else and so another team goes and takes them? Because anybody
Right.
could be signed at any moment. Like
Hmm.
it's all fair game. So just so no draft, but somebody could be real. Maybe Macy Schultz is very impressive and somebody heard Rick talking and they're like, oh, I'm going to go sign her. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I find probably the most interesting about this is there are like a select few NRIs that you can sort of name offhand that have made it, a name for themselves in this league. And the rest of the players are either internationals, were signed when they were teenagers, or were drafted. Now, within the next 2, 3, 4 years, there will be most likely several players who are NRIs that are making names for themselves because they just might have been drafted on draft night as I wouldn't say like throwaway, like third or fourth round pick, but just like oh, hey, we like this player. They're available. Let's grab them. Now these teams can just go, how did no one sign this player in the off season? We'll just pick them up now because we've always been interested in them, but we don't have to even sign them to a contract. We'll see what they can do, and then we can run with it from there. The names I think are going to be a lot uh, different when it comes to NRIs and who sort of makes a name for themselves in this league. Because even though we did get a lot of college signings, there's the probability of players that deserved to get drafted high didn't even get contracts yet. They're just NRIs.
Or they're signing in the USL and things like that because
Yeah,
they're
that too.
not getting even invited into any of the NWSL camps. So it's been a very interesting off season, just from a perspective of like how this new system is working, like just when you're looking at the league as a whole. And so I'm very interested to see, as I said, if they tweak it at all, like moving forward, and if they do, what that looks like. I'm just very curious to see. But I'm hoping that we have some solid players here. The biggest concern, obviously, is the fact that we have 5 defenders, one of which is a season-ending injury.
Yeah, so during this training, uh the players who got reps on defense are obviously all the signed defenders. Sam obviously is not. um, currently holding that position, but who was playing next to Hannah Anderson during these trainings were B, Maitani Lopez, and then obviously Carrie's an option as well. Um, it's from what I gathered, uh, it's probably Maitani's job to lose when it comes to who's gonna replace Sam until she can come back. So yes, there's 5 defenders, but the club seems comfortable with the amount of midfielders that they have that they can play at the center back position. Now, when it comes to who can fill in at fullback when uh, Natalia or um, Cam or Taylor are not available, I don't know.
Jenna Bike.
Jenna Bike, why not? it's
Just gonna
it's
say
like
it.
I know I don't like the 5 defenders just like everybody else. It's disconcerting.
I mean, I think that when they truly signed Maitani, I think the plan was for her to play
Yeah,
defense.
that's what my
So
gathering was
I
from the
think it would be
first.
better when they released the roster if they would have listed her as a defender and 6 defenders. I think that would make my brain be not work as hard looking at it because you're like, okay, 6 defenders,
Yeah.
reasonable,
Mm.
reasonable, not not great, but more reason. 6 is better than 5.
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, because then you'd have 6 defenders and 6 midfielders. So there's a little bit more balance there. You still have
Yeah,
10 forwards.
900 forwards and 5 goalkeepers because why not? Let's go.
Yeah, the fact that the NRIs were 2 keepers, 3 midfielders, and 2 forwards was interesting too. Like no defensive NRIs either. That
Yeah,
was
that was
interesting.
so my theory on this, and I said it in the Discord, is there are a ton of free agents out there that are veteran free agents. And of course, cuts are going to happen. Players are going to be released as rosters are solidified. I am fully expecting Chicago to pick up at least one, if not two, like free agent or players that are cut, they technically would be free agents, like released from rosters that are experienced, like players to give us depth defensively. I'm hoping that's the plan. That's what I'm telling myself in my brain, that that's the plan because that would make sense. We want depth, we want bench players and those type of players. They're available, but why not see what you can get elsewhere, and then maybe they know of who they're going to sign or what they're looking at and they just haven't announced it yet, or they're just waiting. Who knows? It could be a
Yeah.
variety of things.
Um Justina Gaynor has played
Outside back,
outside
correct?
back in
Yes.
her college career before. So there's another sort of
I
option maybe if they want to sign her to a deal.
did Grosso play outside back for Canada at one point?
Grosso has also played outside back. Yeah,
But
she's
can and
played.
should are 2 different
Yeah,
things.
this is what we talked about when it came to Shar and Leilani last season. It's like, yeah, you can throw them there. That's fine. Are they going to succeed there? That's another story. Um, I mentioned in our like postseason discussion, I thought that Chardonnay played 10 times better when they put her at forward finally. Like she started to actually, like when they threw her out there at forward in one of those last matches, it was like, oh, this is what Chardonnay can do. Like it's throwing her out there at outside back. Yeah, she put in the effort. She made some good plays, but it was like you can clearly see this is just new to her, and sometimes you don't want to do that consistently to a player. But I'm sure they're all comfortable just being um, the just going out there and doing what the coach expects them to do. So we'll find
I
out.
think that that's what's going to be interesting with B because she's also playing a little center back. I think that her position that she plays kind of fits well for that progression back to play center back if necessary. But again, I'm hoping it's not needed. Hopefully Sam's healthy, and obviously we've got Maitani and Hannah um, that are very capable. But I feel like Leilani Nesbitt got that a little bit last year too, of getting put into weird
Yeah,
situations
just thrown
and like,
everywhere.
yeah, like you're not going to get any sort of like stability because you're getting put in all of these different places and you're a rookie on
Yeah,
top
and
of
she
it.
started out the season injured, so she was
Yep.
trying to recover from an injury, and then they throw her out there at, defensive midfield, and then she's out there as a forward, and then she's out there as a outside back, and it's like recovering, being a pro for the first time, and also being thrown all around the field. Like that's no way to find success in your first year. So hopefully they know what they're doing with these players and these open positions that need to be filled. Um, like we mentioned, I think Maitani is probably the most likely option while Sam recovers. It's not like she played center back for Gotham when they were the champions, so technically she's a championship center back, so I don't see it's the same thing with Carey. Carey was playing center back when North Carolina won their championships. So um, these players can play the position
Yeah.
and they can play it well, as we've seen in the past. Uh, the other options are works in progress. So
I do
uh,
not want to see Kuika get bumped in. That's the one thing I don't want to see.
my assumption and some of the discussions that I had with Joe Chats about the roster and stuff is Natalia seems to be their focal point for what they mean by more offensive focused, getting her higher up on the field.
You love to hear it.
So that seems to be the goal. And I would much prefer that, even though Natalia Kuika is an incredible center back as well. But I don't think this year is the option for them is not to slide her over. It may come to that based on circumstances that may or may not happen, but I think the goal is 100% to have Natalia Kuika as the starting outside back and not look back.
I will also say that at the end of last year, it was nice to have Shea Groom fully like healthy.
Oh,
And now
so
going into
true.
this next season is going to be so great to have her, hopefully. Obviously, I don't know if anything's happening. Hopefully, knock on wood, nothing's happening. That to have her healthy, like for a full season, because everything changed. It felt like when she came in, it just felt like she creates a little chaos, but she's got that veteran leadership too that just kind of settled things down in the midfield. So that I'm looking forward to as a big plus moving into this next season.
Yeah, what I had mentioned, I think in our uh like season recap episodes when we were talking about the different lines was when Shay was out there when she was healthy, it like it's when you watched her, it was like watching a player who knows how to play in the NWSL because she's been in the league for a long time. Um, and then she's surrounded by, first year players, second year players, third year players. So when you watch her, it's like, oh, this is a veteran. This is a player who knows the players who are playing opposite of her. She knows how to handle them. Um, and I thought she was a nice bright spot at the end of the season. So you're totally right about health when it comes to Shea Groom, and hopefully they can utilize her in some way off of the bench, or even a starter if it comes to that, because she's a good player and has been for a long time in this league, and um, she's a player that you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against. So I so I
Absolutely.
would so I would look forward to that. but yeah, so two goalkeeper NRIs. The roster already has three signed goalkeepers. It's obviously going to stay at three. Um, I think this is very much just the club just testing out certain things to see, the future. We don't know how long Alyssa Nair is going to be playing for the Stars. She keeps signing 1 year contracts. So is it going to be Z? Is it going to be, Halle Mackiewicz now that she's signed? Are they going to, look at Sydney again this season and maybe bring her in, whenever the time comes? Is it going to be, Stephanie Sparkowski? I think they're just sitting there looking at, um, potential future choices for whenever the day may come. It's not a, you know, we're looking to replace anybody that's currently rostered. It's just you might as well keep an eye on young talent when you have them in your building.
Oh yeah, like because you never know. Like I think keepers, it's so hard to make rosters. And so a lot of really talented keepers don't make rosters, but it's always good because things happen. And the league's always poaching keepers from everybody. So it's good to know what you got, and it's good to know what everybody else has too.
Yeah, and teams always keep uh players as or keep keepers as training players throughout the season, even if they don't make the roster. Like they still keep their eyes on them. They still keep them around. They, whenever it's necessary to call them in, they'll do so. They did that with Justina's sister Cecilia when she was here, and didn't make the roster. They still kept her around until she signed with the Super League. So it's the way of the league. But yeah, the keepers are set for now. Um, Obviously, Alyssa's the number one. I'm super excited to see her play again. Uh, Obviously, we're not going to see her in the red, white, and blue that is representing the U.S., but at least we get to see her in the red, white, and blue in Chicago. But yeah, the keepers are set, so there's no reason to have a discussion about
No,
that.
no, no, there's no point. But yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, it feels like I haven't watched Alyssa play in a long time. And
I
so
know.
I'm ready. I need it.
So that just leaves what we believe the starting 11 outside of Alyssa are going to look like come opening day. Obviously, we can't put Ludmila in that lineup. She's going to be suspended for the first match of the season because of the red card that she received at the end of last season. She didn't get to play in that first playoff match, first and only playoff match. And then it extends to this season as well because it was a 2 game suspension. And then we also have the uncertainty about Mal. Yeah, obviously, if she's here, she'll be right there in the starting 11. But um, let's just say that there's 4 defenders
Well,
opening
then,
day. Who are you picking?
I mean, I feel like the four that are on my sheet right here that are, I'm not, well, I guess,
Now you're questioning things.
well, I'm trying to think. Okay, so I'm gonna go at outside back. I'm gonna go with Kuika and Bogalski. And then Taylor Malum is going to be on the bench. And then my center back pairing is going to be my Tawny and Hannah Anderson. That's what I'll go with. I'm assuming you're going to go with the same because you were nodding.
That is who I would want. Yes. Um I think Cam deserves a chance. Uh and I'd love to see her succeed. I'm also, there were times last season that Taylor impressed. And the way the coaches speak about her,
Remember, we're playing Orlando.
this is true.
Just an FYI.
Uh I think Taylor will probably be the outside back. that's chosen. Um, I'm not just based on how Ella has spoken about her at the coaches convention, and then the way Lauren speaks about her, I'm more than confident that Taylor's gonna be the outside back this season unless Cam can outplay her.
I
And I
just think
think
it more in my brain defensively with that is Bogalski. And then if we were playing a team that we could be a little more forward thinking would be Taylor. But that's why that's where I'm going with. That's I just wanted to throw my justification in there.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're both equally forward thinking players. Um I've Cam impressed me immensely with her defense last season when she actually got opportunities. Um Not necessarily in like uh skill or talent. It was just the her effort plays are like obviously she has the skill, she has the talent, but like her effort plays are what stood out to me. Um, she impressed me because she made herself known when she was out there. Uh, and I think it's Taylor's job to lose, and I think that Cam could be good enough to surpass her. We obviously we don't watch training camp. We don't know how that'll go, but there's, like we said, there's five defenders we get to pick from, plus a couple midfielders, and so there's not a whole lot of options to discuss. But that's obviously one spot that's not set in stone in our minds. And the others, yeah, Natu's gonna be on that outside on the right, and then Hannah and Mai Tani are going to be in the middle based on my understanding of how training has been going. So yeah. Now, if they were going to play the same formation that they did last season with the double pivot, we can discuss that. Or we can pretend that they're going to finally go to a 4-3-3 and we can just pick three midfielders.
I want a 4-3-3. I do not want a double pivot.
Then let's talk about a 4-3-3. We can just be wrong. But let's talk about a 4-3-3. Who who are you who are you picking as your center midfielder and who's playing in the attack?
It's so hard because I like Ali Schlegel a lot in the midfield. Oh my goodness, you might have to go before me because I feel like I'm gonna take a hot second
Okay.
here.
My so I think it'll be like a triangle. I would think I would want it to be like a triangle shape uh midfield with one sort of defensive midfield playing the eight and then or a six and then an eight and a 10. But the six would probably most likely be Carrie. I don't think they're gonna pull her off the field. I'd like it to be B. I think B just because of her height and her ability to win duels. Um, I think she's a great option. But I think that Carrie is too, when she's back there, she's too focused on being on the back line. So I think our back line would always end up being like a five back. But I'm not sure that they would have Carrie off the field. So I think they'd pick Carrie. I would probably pick B. And then the other two midfielders would be Julia and Allie to me. I would want Julia sort of guiding the center and being that leader in the middle, and then Allie playing attacking midfield. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, that's where my brain was going. But then I'm looking at the front line and I'm trying to decide who I'm going to play up there. Um, I'm getting too far. Yeah, as I said, I've been a huge like Ali Schlegel to the midfield like since last season. I've been big into it because I think it fits what we're trying to do with her
Yeah,
better than putting her on the front line. So yeah, I agree. I think for right now they're going to keep Carrie out there. I think that there could be possibility of other players, maybe if somebody really impresses as an NRI, or who knows, Manaka Hayashi. You never know. Like somebody else could jump in at that sixth position, or we're going to play a double pivot. And none of this really matters. So we'll see. But I think there also is going to be times where Shea Groom's going to be starting in the midfield this season, but not against Orlando. But yeah, I want Julia Grosso to be out there, and I'm hoping that it's better.
I'd want her to
Hoping
play
there's
the eight.
talent.
I would
Yes.
just that's where I want her to be. I want her to be dead center, being that connector. That's what she's supposed to be, and that's the reason they signed her. So use her that way, you know.
Yeah. Up top, it gets weird because there's no Mal and you don't have Ludmila.
There might be no
So
Mal.
there,
There,
I mean, we don't, yeah. I'm just
yeah,
assuming at this point when I say that,
yeah.
that
Let's just
she's
assume
not,
Mal's not going to be there.
she's not a
Let's,
choice because we're talking about it in this moment.
yeah,
So Ava Cook's not a choice because
nope,
she's season ending injury. Jamise Joseph is a absolute in that starting lineup for me. And then I think Jenna Bike is also an immediate yes for me, which is funny because I'm not the biggest, you know this, the biggest Jenna Bike fan.
sure.
So I am throwing that out there. And I'm going to go, it's probably not that wild of a card because you look at the list and you're like, whatever. But I'm going to go with Sarah Griffith. You're welcome, Noah.
Nice. I I like it. I'm a huge Sarah Griffith fan, so I'm all for it. Um, I if Mal's not there, I think I mean even if Mal was there and Ludmila's not, as we know Ludmila's not going to be, I think that's Jamise's spot. I think Mies is gonna take that spot of Ludmila and or Mal, depending on the situation. Um, Most likely, just based on experience, Jenna would probably be the other option. At the nine, I would probably here's the thing. I would
Oh, God.
probably put Shay.
I was about to say that because I forgot her name was in the midfield.
I would probably is her name in the midfield on the
Yes,
roster?
on the roster, it's in the midfield. So
On
that's
the
why I
club
didn't.
on the club's
Yes,
official roster? I didn't
I
even
am.
notice that.
Yes, I am looking on there. I have it pulled up, and I'm looking, and that's why I didn't name her because
Wait a
she's listed as a
minute. How did I
midfielder.
not notice that?
Yeah, yeah, she's listed as a midfielder. So I did. That's why I didn't say her, and I just looked at. It, I'm like, well, crap. I should have said Shay. Oh well, I stand by what I
She
said.
is listed as a midfielder now, so they changed
Yeah.
that. Oh, I need to
Hmm.
change all my graphics. I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
Um, then I would probably swap Allie and Shay. I would say Shay's probably going to be the 10, and then
They're gonna
Allie
rotate position
would be
anyway.
my
So
9, and they would rotate, yeah,
yeah,
in and out as they did last season. That's likely. Um,
yeah. Shea Groom
this is a weird,
midfielder.
this team gets so weird without Ludmila and Mal.
Yeah,
I
that's why I was,
just
and who
realized that.
knows? It could be something wild where Michaela Johnson is an absolute stud, and maybe she blows into the starting lineup because there's no Mal and Ludmila. You never know. It could be something. Maybe Catherine Barry earns a spot, and
Yep,
like you
that's true.
don't know because if Mal is unavailable,
Yeah, someone's gonna come in.
it's going to change things. So we don't know. But yeah, that's why I
I
didn't
need
say
to.
Shay's name, and that's
I'm
why
moving
I'm
Shay to
yeah.
the on my on my roster. On my roster Excel sheet, I'm moving Shay right now because I did not even realize that. I don't know how I missed
Yes.
that.
Yes, she is a midfielder per the official club release.
Okay, that's interesting. So
Um,
now we have 8 midfielders and only 9 forwards. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, it gets really interesting without Mal and Ludmila. And then when you look on the flip side, when we get them back, that front line gets real deadly in a hurry.
Oh yeah. That's so true. Um, but yeah, like I would put Ava at center forward, but
hmm
she's not gonna be there,
Yep, it's
most
tough.
likely. Um, and I mean, like we don't have center forwards on this team. It's not what they do.
B.
Uh,
Franklin.
yeah, let's throw B up there. Let's get a bunch of. I mean, she would be a target nine immediately.
That's what I'm saying.
Uh, didn't get any reps there at training, to my understanding. So
Alyssa Nair, target
target
nine. We know
nine,
that
Alyssa
she can
Nair.
score.
Yeah, I don't know. That front three, that's without them, that's yeah,
hmm
Mies, maybe Sarah.
It
I
just
don't know
depends
who
on
could
what the
play the
plan is.
nine. Maybe Mies can play the nine. I mean, she's small, but you don't need a tall nine. It's not a requirement.
Maybe Macy Schultz,
Yeah, like you said, maybe
5'11".
maybe Catherine Barry. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. And who knows?
I don't know
Maybe
who they're
Ava's
gonna
going to be ready
sign.
to go.
Maybe we'll sign Midge Purse and then we'll have to think about this all over again.
Did I say? Oh, yeah, because we were talking about outside backs. And I was like, we're going to sign
Yeah.
Mitch Person, player at outside back.
Very U.S. women's national team of us.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
um, man, with so many forwards, that is hard.
It's hard because we don't have a center forward. We have a lot of players that play other positions.
Yeah, and it's like Sophia Smith's a great example of a very talented player who can play center forward, and does like is utilized at center forward for Portland in a smart way, is what I'm saying. Like they know how to use her as a nine, even though she's not a nine. Um, it's so it's yeah. But I don't know
Sophia Wilson now.
Sophia Wilson. I don't know how
Now that
you
we're
can I don't know how you can do that with any of these players. I don't know.
Mal would be the only one I feel like that you could, and obviously
Yeah.
we're assuming that she's unavailable just based on what we know at this point. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. We're just talking in the moment as we speak. I
Yeah.
feel like I just have to continually clarify that.
Yeah.
But Sarah Griffith could be a target nine. but like,
Yeah.
but in all serious, like, I feel like Allie Schlegel is the choice.
Yeah, that's what I mean by
It's Allie or Shay. It's one of
like
the
I
two. Like,
I would like them to eventually transition Allie into sort of like a 10 role.
yeah,
Um, but she's probably better utilized as the center forward currently if we go in a four
with
three
Ava
three. This
out.
is this is us talking about our dreams. We're not
I know
talking,
this is the dreams.
it's gonna be a 4-2-4, 4-2-1-3
I
or
mean,
whatever the hell they do usually.
a 4-3-2-1.
Four
Did we do a 4-3-2-1 or is
No,
it,
they
I'm
do a
talking US
it's a
Women's.
it's a
I'm
four
yeah.
two four basically.
I'm talking US
Or a
Women's
four
national team when I
two
do
two
that.
two.
Well, maybe we'll do something wild and we're gonna do like a three back wild chaos something. I don't. We're not. We're not. I hate three backs so much, but it might work for
I
this team.
it would work if Sam was healthy, I
It would
think.
not work against Orlando. Let's not
No.
roll that out against Orlando.
I mean, we play in a five back anyway, so
Well, that's the thing. Like
against
you're
Orlando.
assuming with Carrie playing the six, as you said, she's going to be playing against Orlando.
Against
She's going to be
Orlando,
back on
she'll
the back
yeah,
line.
it'll
Yeah,
be a
it's going to be a
five
five
back
back.
basically.
And even if Ali Schlegel is playing the nine, it's going to be two up top, and she's going to be back in the midfield. Like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
We're going to be
and
like playing a 5-3-2.
yeah.
Did I just name too many
But no,
players?
you'd be playing a 5-2-3.
5-2. I'm saying we're going to drop even more back.
Oh, okay.
Like
Then
we're only going to have two
10,
up top.
10 at the
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
against Orlando. Um, they did an okay job against Orlando for some
I'm
of that
telling you,
match.
Jamise is going to score again on Anna Morehouse, and it's going to be hilarious. I'm calling it. I'm just going to keep saying it every episode until the game happens.
I am a firm believer that Mies is going to be in the starting lineup in that match.
Yes, I
I'm
can. Yeah.
I totally believe that.
I th-
When it comes to
it.
everyone else, I don't know. I mean,
I think
Allie,
it'll be,
obviously, just where she's going to be, I don't know.
and I think Alyssa, and I think that Carrie is pretty much set, and Maitani, and I feel
Mhm.
like Hannah,
In
even though
training, they only played um, half field, but they played in a 4-3-3 in the half field, which doesn't mean
it
anything
means
because,
everything to me.
but like Ludmila wasn't there, Mal's not there, like
Yeah,
it, and it's half field, half pitch. Like you're not, you can't take that and run
I'm
with it
gonna
as
take
they're
it.
going to go
I'm
to a
gonna
four
take
three three.
everything. That officially means that we're playing a 4-3-3.
I would love
Um,
it.
but yeah, I think Hannah has solidified. I don't even question that, especially with Staub out.
Absolutely.
I've seen some chaos on the internet where people apparently forget that Hannah Anderson exists, and I would like to tell them that they are very wrong and they need to do more research because Hannah Anderson was probably one of the better rookies in all of the league last year, just across the board and how she played. So she's definitely going to be on that back line.
Yeah, I think the if I just had to say who I absolutely think is going to be in the starting lineup, regardless of where they're playing, um, I would say Alyssa, Hannah, Natu, uh, either Cam or Taylor, depending. But I absolutely think Carrie's going to be there in some way. My Tani as well, Julia Grosso, and then Allie and Jamise.
Yep.
There's a few spots that are up in the air. It just depends on how people perform in training.
Week 2 is going to be fun because then we're going to get to throw Ludmila back in
Because
there at
Ludmila
least.
will be back. Um, I'd still think that as talented as she's shown that she is in her rookie year, I still believe that Mies is better utilized off the bench. Like you want that, dagger to the heart kind of player coming off your bench, and I think Mies can be that.
Every good team has that player that if you need a goal or you need that spark, you pull, there's a certain player you bring off the bench. And to me, Jamise Joseph is that player. But given obviously circumstances, definitely a player that you can plug into the lineup as well, which is really nice to have.
Yeah, which they
Because
did
some
last season.
players, yeah, some players are just that and they're not built for that and to be able to go back and forth. And so it's nice to see that she's that type of player that can start or come off the bench.
Yeah,
Obviously, a lot of players are better in one circumstance than another, but she's been willing to do both.
yeah, and you see it in basketball a lot. People obsess over starter minutes or starter roles, but they don't think about starter minutes. Like there are players, NBA or WNBA, who play off the bench, but they play more minutes than one or two starters. It's like it doesn't matter if you're there at tip off. It matters how much you impact over the course of the minutes that you're given. And if that front line is full of people that the coaches decide that Mies isn't the one to get those starts, how impactful can she be for a half an hour each week? That can say a lot about who you are and how long a club is going to want to keep you around.
Some fantastic players started as being the spark off the bench for the U.S. Women's National Team or wherever they came from. That was Alex Morgan's job on the U.S. Women's National Team for the longest time. And obviously, she had a fantastic career. So, players that are able and willing to do that just shows like the type of players that they are. So, I'm just grateful that she's the type of player that's willing to either spot start or come off the bench and play with that same energy. And I love it. And I think, given obviously we don't know how things, we know Ludmila is going to be out for sure. So I think Jamise is definitely going to be in that starting lineup.
Me too. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. So yeah, there's our thoughts on the roster in its entirety, as we've seen it. I hope that you're not as confused as I'm sure you are.
It
Because
got really
was
confusing once we got to the midfield.
a lot of names, no visual aids. Uh, yeah, and also us picking a formation that we're
We don't
like
play.
10% sure, 5% sure that we're gonna play. I don't
I'm
know.
going to go with 75% sure we're going to play it because we played it in practice once.
Okay. We'll go with that. The last thing that I'm gonna leave you guys on is that Mana Hayashi and Halle Mackiewicz are doing media availability on Monday, the day after that we're recording this, the first availability of the season for players. I'll be there. I'll make sure I get the info for you guys needed live. But for now, I'm just going to play some clips from that media availability and just sort of leave off the episode with that. So enjoy Manaka Hayashi and Halle Mackiewicz discussing their them joining the Stars.
I've been like belong on like the many team like Japanese team and college and summer club, and then finally I feel like I got contract for like long term, so like I feel like um, I can take time to like get comfortable, so I'm so excited and happy. I started like feeling during the season, and also like after finishing the World Cup, like I experienced a lot of international matches at the World Cup, and then I thought I want to improve by myself more and more, so I started looking for like NWSL team. I'm not aiming to be on the bench. For sure, I'm gonna make a play on the field, even though it's my first professional career. Also, like I wanna learn from a lot of like my teammate, who like has a lot of experience more than me.
Played in Sweden for 3 months, which was great to get some games in and go overseas and experience all that. And then I trained in Chicago for about a week over the summer just to kind of get in the environment. And then, over the off season, I had my agent kind of reach out because I really enjoyed it here. So I was happy to be able to come back to the States for this season. Having a listener here, that's just a great learning opportunity for me. So kind of just looking to, get my first year in the league under me, and to be training under her is obviously a great opportunity just to learn from her. It's been awesome, kind of just taking it in and learning from her. Obviously a really special place to be because of who she is and, the year she had last year. So I've really just been kind of taking it all in for that first week.